Do, 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 do. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're another episode of Coast to Coast Outdoors. This is the off-road section. We have Bill Crahill, and he's part of the Top Truck Boat Challenge that is being held at the Unlimited Off-Road Expo. Is that right? That's what it's called?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, Unlimited Off-Road Expo.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got his vehicle, and he's trying to basically, he had his vehicle there last year. I was over there at the expo working with Moab, and he had his vehicle there, his TJ. We'll let him explain him. But the reason he's on the show is we're trying to get him some more votes so he could win this challenge. And basically, I don't know what you win. What do you win? Just notoriety?
I believe you just get tickets for the weekend. You get tickets for the weekend for the expo, which would be great for my kids and I to go to, and it gets to be on display, so others get to see the different components that are on there and what was done to it, and probably talk to us a little bit about how they were built and this, that, and the other. So
yeah,
it's a great way to give back to the community. Let them see what you do.
Yep. So talking about that, well, let's just get right into it. I was going to do a little something, but I guess not. So take us through from the beginning, I guess. Take us through and tell us about the Jeep and what Jeep do you have, and how you came upon this Jeep and things like that.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I got into off-roading back in college days. I had my first Jeep, and
what college was that?
Went through life. University of Louisville.
Oh, I like that university. That's a pretty good university. I do say so myself.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Go Cards.
So I got into Jeeping when I was in engineering school at University of Louisville. There was a big blue Jeep that drove around town all the time, and it had an advertisement on the side. So I went down to the Jeep shop because I had gotten a Jeep, my first Jeep, and started getting into the off-road and the aftermarket parts and wheeling. And then life, happened, got my first real job, and kind of grew up. My toys went away because I had children. And then I think back in about 2010 or 2008, I think it was 2008, I found a 2003 TJ. It was a Rubicon edition of the Tomb Raider. So I picked it up. I found it at it was at a used car lot. Actually, they're having a big tent sale. All the vendors were there. My son actually picked it out and said, "Hey, Dad, what about this one?" So I picked up that Jeep and I went down to Moab Off-Road. It initially started out, we went from stock to a 5.5-inch Rubicon Express lift with 35-inch tires, and some, rock sliders, front rear bumper, things of that nature. Pretty basic. Kids fell in love with it. They loved going off-road and camping. We did some of the Jeep Jamborees. So then I believe it was 2009, so a year after they got exposed to it, did some major modifications as to where it sits right now. And since then, it's gone through a couple others. But right now, how it sits sits on 40-inch tires. They're Pro Comps, which have 17-inch Welker Evans rims. And those are mounted on high pinion 60 rock jocks front and rear. It's 3 and 4 link setup with sway-away 14-inch coilovers all the way around. Anti-rock sway bars front and rear. On the front, you'll notice there's a Genrite front stubby bumper, and I have worn the power plant winch, so that way I can run air off it as well, which actually there's a reservoir tank in the back of the Jeep. If I need to use any power tools or things of that nature. It also has Genrite boat side rockers. They're all aluminum now. Originally they were steel and they were painted a different color. I went with the aluminum just as a better little look to it and lighten it a little bit. It is stretched to about 100 inches overall, so the rear corners are cut. Inside you also find a Genrite sport cage for the TJ. Again, I wanted to make sure when I went wheeling with my kids, because I didn't have a tow rig, I put money into the rig and I wanted to make sure, one, it was safe, two, we wouldn't break down. So as the kids and I were out jeeping, I didn't want to break down and be stranded somewhere out in the wilderness. So one of the latest features on it, there's a rigid industry light bar. I believe it's a 50-inch light bar. It's all the way from, covers the whole windshield. It's a dual, plus I have a couple of rigid industry spotlights down on the bumper for additional lighting, along with rock lights underneath. I did just upgrade to some Mastercraft Baja RS seats, which are very comfortable, and I did get the driver with a little butt warmer for those cold days in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So with that said, if you're curious about any of the drivetrain, it was a stock 4-liter motor, 5-speed. It does have a 4-speed Atlas in it, so it does have the dual sticks plus a planetary gear for low for those times where you just need a low pace for rock crawling, staying on the rocks. I also have some cutting brakes in it, hydraulic line lock for parking, because with those bigger tires, the regular parking brake just wouldn't hold. And there's a big brake package on the front axle. I haven't converted the rear yet. And in the back, there's also a Fab 4 swing-away tire carrier and bumper, which the 40-inch tire is mounted on. And I think lastly, there's a CB in it. But other than that, pretty much has anything and everything in it. It's a great rock crawler. You'll see some of the videos that are out there on YouTube. TJ on Tombstone is one of them. That's a local off-road park in Kentucky where we go wheeling a lot. We also have gone to, during Max Dollinger's week of wheeling, where we go out in the woods for 7 to 10 days where we just camp in Jeep, primarily living out of our Jeeps other than filling up at the gas station and getting extra supplies, as far as water or food. We'll go out into the trail and we camp all week, and we'll go anywhere from southern Kentucky at Williamsburg, Kentucky, where they run the Gateway to Cumberland Jeep Jamboree, to northern Tennessee, even through Royal Blue and the sand mines, down to Windrock and Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And Windrock, I would have to say, is probably one of my favorite parks. I haven't had the kids there yet. They've loved Williamsburg and northern Tennessee, but I do want to get them down to Windrock just because of the numerous trails that are there and the gorgeous sceneries.
Yeah.
So another place that I've frequented is Harlan. I actually took my son there. It was just a guy's little camping trip, and we had a blast all weekend. I think in 2 days we hit 13 trails the first day, and I think 9 trails the second day. Just a small group, but it was a blast.
Nice.
So it is not a mall crawler. I do go out and wheel it. It does everything that I've wanted it to do, and it keeps my kids and I safe, and we have a lot of fun.
So something I think you skipped over was the suck-down winch. Tell us a little bit about that. Because you're the first person that I've actually seen that actually uses the suck-down winch and doesn't just have it for display. So.
Right. So I made my maiden voyage out in Moab, Utah, and anybody that's been out there knows that there are a lot of steep hill climbs. And unlike wheeling in Kentucky, where if you go too far left or right, usually if you're going to flop or roll, there's a tree there to stop you. Moab, that's not the case. And when we were out there and I was doing some of the steeper hill climbs, because I was new to the coilovers, they like to offload. The front would like to offload and try to kick me, over backwards. So we came up with a way to cinch down the front end. A lot of the pro rock crawlers have that on theirs. Moab Off-Road did a great job. It's a little ATV winch down under. It's mounted to the front axle, and it actually goes up over a cross member underneath the oil pan to suck down. And it's come in very handy. There's been a lot of places that I didn't need as much articulation up front and to lower the center of gravity and try to keep the tires down versus offloading on me. It's really, really helped. And some of my buddies, when I've been going through and wheeling and they've had difficult times, I've been able to crawl right through it just by, changing that dimension on the front axle. So.
Nice.
I almost forgot that it was there, but it has come in handy numerous times.
Yeah. Um, so what do you got for gears? What's in the gears, or do you know your gear ratio and stuff like that? I'm not trying to
Well, the
get
ring
too
and pinion
technical.
are 538. The ring and pinion are 538, running 40-inch tires. And then through the 4-speed Atlas, I believe it's either 10.1 or 10.3 to 1. So it's a super low when both the front and rear drive shafts are in low and the planetary is in low. Other than that, it's usually around a 4 or 5 to 1, somewhere in that range. If I'm in either high in the drive shafts and low in the planetary, or vice versa. So it's a little bit slower than what a stock Rubicon would be, other than when I go to low. And times like that, I really just let the Jeep take wherever it wants. It's going to find its path, and it's just going to climb it, which kind of takes some of the fun out of it. But at other times, I don't have to worry, which is nice. It just goes.
Yeah, you don't want to be gassing through the obstacle and then risk breaking something. The whole goal is to get through it and
Right,
get
and
that.
yeah, and to that point, I also have a manual throttle because it is a stick. Uh, there's a manual throttle gauge on the shifter, so that way I can keep my feet off the accelerator, especially through those tight technical areas, and just adjust it so I don't, as you said, accelerate through the rocks and start bouncing up and down as my foot's hitting the pedal.
Yeah. I feel like you're leaving stuff out because, well, you just mentioned, I had to mention the suck down, and then you just mentioned the accelerator. What else you got under there?
Right.
There's got to be other stuff you got under there. So tell us about some of the
Yeah,
trails, about some of the other stuff that you've.
I'm trying to think.
How is the Rigid Industries light bar? Have you had to use it outdoor or at night yet, or no?
I haven't had the opportunity at night yet. The Tomb Raider edition did come with from the factory with a light bar, but I have seen those Rigid Industries in practice. And actually, when we were out in Moab, Rigid Industries was running a couple of their rigs back in 2010, and they just lit up when we got stuck out on a trail late at night, and it was raining in Moab, and they just lit everything up. So, I mean, I was sold just at that fact. And it's bright white, just crystal clear light versus the off-white light that I was having for my light bar. So I'm looking forward to actually using that. Even though nighttime wheeling, someone always comes up with a great idea, let's go night wheeling, and that usually turns into one of the best stories, or carnage, depending on how you want to look at it. Every time I've gone night wheeling, something unusual always happens.
Yep, that's usually true. What else we got? So we're gonna, as you were talking, we're just gonna put all the pictures, and that's people on YouTube will see all that stuff. But everybody on iTunes, I want to put a link up to some of the videos that we're gonna put up, and then give you a link so you can see the video that we have for his Jeep and stuff, so that you get an appreciation and stuff. But the reason he's on here is because we want to try and promote him and get him onto win this contest out there and stuff. Last year, I think your Jeep was on display over at the Moab booth. I was working the booth last year, but not that kind of booth, but you get the point. I wasn't on a stripper pole or anything. So, but yeah, I think you did a lot of upgrades last year. Do you have any trips planned for this year besides the Off-Road Expo?
Well, my kids, during the summer, we're going to do some camping and jeeping. I'm hoping to get them down to Windrock because, again, they haven't been there yet. If not, if we can't make it that far, we'll definitely do something down at Daniel Boone National Forest again, and or do the sand mines somewhere where they haven't been. So definitely looking forward to it, getting them out on the trails. Some of the other things that I have are just the safari top, the bikini tops, all the different tops to go on it. Right now it does have a hard top, but I usually take that off. Other than when it is actual ice storms in the wintertime, that's when the hard top usually stays on the vehicle. But it has all the amenities too, so if I do have the top on and I want to go bebopping down a trail and it's 90 or 100 degrees out, I just turn the AC on and listen to some tunes and have fun.
Yeah. So is it, so with that gear ratio that you got and stuff, how is it on the street? I mean, you got 40s, 538s and stuff. How is it on the street? Are you still going, if you're jumping onto the highway or the expressway, as you guys call it, how fast are you going?
Yeah, well, it's still street legal. I can do the speed limit. Some areas, are 70 or 75 as far as the speed limit. So I can definitely do that. I do have to drop it down in fourth gear on some of the steeper hills in Kentucky and Tennessee if I am on the interstate. But typically I drive my rig to the trail. I wheel it all weekend, no issues, and I pack it up, do an inspection, and drive it home. I do have a tow rig now if I need to for some of the longer trips. But, for those long weekend trips, I'll just drive the Jeep down, wheel it, and be done.
Nice. So how did, well, you told us a little bit on how you met Max and how the shop came into play, but how was it, getting all these upgrades and all that stuff? How was that, how was that whole process for you?
It was a good process. I've known Max since he worked on my first Jeep in college. Always been a straight shooter with me. We have a great friendship. He's always invited myself to go places. It's kid friendly as need be as well. So we have a good time. Gotten my quotes, gotten the work done. The quality of work, I will say by far, there's nothing better. I know I can always count on Max to do, and his guys to do the quality job and do it right. So I really don't have any complaints there.
That's good. Well, it's kind of rare to find that stuff. Anything else you want to talk about? Let's talk a little bit about Moab.
Just looking.
Let's talk a little about
Okay.
Moab. I want to know more about Moab. I personally have not gone to Moab, although I'm on the right side of the coast now because I can get there a lot faster. I think it's like 12 hours or something like that. But so how was Moab?
Yeah.
I mean, what vehicle did you guys take? And was it this version? Did you take your vehicle or what did you guys do?
Yes. So when Max in the shop first finished the Jeep, it was just in time for 2010 Easter Jeep Safari. And that's, if you go out to the Unlimited Off-Road Expo website, that's the picture that I put out there. That was during our shakedown run. I had a buddy, several of us went in. One of the guys drives a semi for a living, so he loaded up 4 Jeeps, took them out there. I took the easy route. I flew in. They picked me up, and we went wheeling. Had a great time. Did a bunch of different trails, Pritchett Canyon, Rusty Nail Trail. We spent time at area BFE, trying to think of Behind the Rocks. A lot of different cool trails, just testing the rig, watching it flex, watching it grip. I did have an instance where, and this is where the coilovers almost kicked me up over, top over end. It was kind of a scary moment. My butt did suck down in the seat a little bit. But other than that, it was a fun. I just needed some seat time in the rig, see how it was performing from when I had the 5.5-inch long arm Rubicon Express lift, because I didn't have that as much articulation as I do now, and you definitely see that in the pictures, and hence again the need for that suck down winch up front. But other than that, it's been a lot of fun. The Moab, as far as the slick rock, the grip that's there, it's incredible. I didn't get to do any of the hot tubs or escalator, but that's something I want to do in the future. When I do go back out, I'm looking forward to doing. Just the scenery is just very majestic. If you've never been, I mean, you got the desert side mountains, and you look across the way, there's snow-capped mountains. There's a huge temperature shift from day to evening times. And while we were at the vendor show during that Eastern Jeep Safari, I know people were in shorts and T-shirts and flip-flops, walking around the vendor shows, and all of a sudden we got snow. A little cold front blew in and snow started sprinkling. You never know what to expect when you're out there, but it was just beautiful, great trails, beautiful scenery. We didn't experience any rain while we were there, so couldn't ask for a better trip.
Nice, very nice. What about, I know that you mentioned Slick Rock. That's actually one place I've gone to. How's Slick Rock? I think you went there last year for the week of wheeling, right?
I believe so. I mean, last year, I can't remember because we hit so many different places. The list didn't reveal to us until the time of the trip, and then we just we go with the flow. And it's been a blast. I mean, from people cooking out to having different challenges, if you will, obstacle courses, things of that nature, getting tickets, if you will, for a raffle at the end of the week from different obstacles that you do complete versus taking the bypass, whether it's trying to forge through a big mud hole or taking the hard line in some of the routes. You get some additional tickets. So, it's just a lot of fun, and the camaraderie and, just being out with your buddies and whether it's your buddy, your girlfriend, some of the guys bring their wives, whatever it may be. It's a great time for all.
Yeah, I think Lisa cooked us a meal one day or cooked one night, and then I think we did it rained that year. Yeah, I remember it clearly because it rained as soon as we got there.
Yeah.
It was, first day was horrible because I was in a buggy, and then it was horrible. But then it got better as the time went on and stuff. But that first day was rough. I think
Yeah.
But, all right.
Yeah, and it sucks setting up your tent in the rain. So it's one thing if you set it up ahead of time and it's not raining yet and it rains on you versus actually it's pouring down rain and then having to go out there and be motivated to set your tent up and try not to get everything wet.
I slept under a tarp.
But it's fun.
I didn't have a tent. I slept under a tarp. So yeah. So again, if you guys go to Facebook, and I'll post a link at the bottom. If you're on YouTube, you're obviously seeing this. We'll have a link at the description on where you can go vote for his rig. Come out and vote so you can see that at the show. You can see all his upgrades, and you can talk to him more about his Jeep. There's also
and one last thing I'd like to mention. I do appreciate any votes. If you guys do go out there, take a look, vote for it. I definitely will be there that weekend, so you can walk up, ask me any questions, sit in it, anything you want. My son most likely will be with me. My daughter, it may be too hot for her. But my son will be there, and he will tell you that he picked out everything on that Jeep. And he originally named it, you'll see my license plate, but he originally named it Ghost Rider. We were going to do some custom paint on the hood. That's another thing I forgot. It's an AV Highline hood on the front as well because of the high clearance front fenders from Genrite. But we were supposed to do some flames and a big skull. Never got around to it. But he'll tell you that that's his Jeep once he turns 16, which I don't know how to break his heart.
Oh, that's going to be a rough.
We'll have another project for him.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough sell.
We'll have another project for him, though.
Yeah. So, all right, that's good. So
appreciate the votes. Thank you.
Go out and vote, and vote for him. We'll put a link and get everything down there. Get him out there so he can talk about his Jeep. You see the upgrades and stuff. He's got a lot more stuff. He's being really shy about how many upgrades he's got. He's got Yukon axle shafts. Don't you have bead locks too? The Walker Edmonds bead locks. What size are those? 17s, I think.
Yes, they're 17s, and I do have the new Yukon lockout hubs up front, the super hubs, different U joints, custom front and rear drive shafts. You got to see how big they are. Just because the angles, because all the articulation that I do have on this Jeep. There's some different LED turn markers in the back, for my turn signals. Trying to think. I mean, yeah, there's a lot, and I'm sure there's things I've forgotten. It's probably been through two big overhauls since the original Rubicon lift, but Moab Off-Road's done all the work. Like I said, they do great quality work. You can come see the welds, how clean they are, and the fit and finish of the vehicle. Having been an automotive manufacturer engineer, that's one thing I do look at is fits and finish, and this Jeep, again, just went back together very nicely as far as the quality of the parts and the craftsmanship of the work of the guys at Moab. I have to hand it to them.
Okay, very good. So let's get out there, vote for his Jeep. We'll put the Facebook link on there, and then subscribe to the channel. You can find this on iTunes. If you don't want to see this, you can find this on iTunes. We're on iTunes, and we're also on Facebook and Twitter at C2C Outdoors. You'll find us up there, and we'll put some pictures up there of his Jeep and get you guys going on that stuff. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I'll talk to you guys later.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks. Bye.